During the night of February 25, 2026, an unusual disaster struck in the nation of Colombia. All of a sudden, a geyser of mud burst from the ground, rising 30 meters or 100 feet into the air. As more than 100 metric tons of mud was ejected every second, a bad situation turned worse when, all of a sudden, the mud ignited. This immediately singed everything in a 50 to 150 meter radius depending on the direction, starting vegetation fires. Simultaneously, an expanding 800 meter or 2,625 foot high fireball shot into the sky, carrying with it large amounts of debris. This explosion near immediately caused several livestock deaths, along with causing large cracks to form on a local road. These cracks, in my opinion, were likely formed due to the initial explosion beginning not on the surface but underground, so the outward force of the explosion moved chunks of nearby ground slightly in segments. While several small vegetation fires were triggered, erupting mud soon expanded onto and blocked the aforementioned road, along with sections of nearby farmland. It appears as though several power lines were damaged, and allegedly there was even some damage to the local water treatment plant. Thereafter, a burning plume continued rising high into the air as the eruption of mud continued. Then, only a few minutes after it began, the ejection of mud almost completely ceased. However, burning flames at a lesser extent were still ongoing hours after the explosion occurred at the source vent the following day. While it is absurdly tough to geolocate the extent of the mud which erupted due to the nearby landscape and vegetation largely looking the same, it to me appears as though at least 40,000 cubic meters of mud was in place, covering an area of 7 acres or 0.03 square kilometers of land. So, what exactly had just occurred? An uncommon paroxysm and explosive eruption of a mud volcano known as San Juancito. Mud volcanoes, despite their name, are not true volcanoes, and to form need a layer of loose sediment, groundwater, and abundant pressurized gas underground. This can either primarily involve carbon dioxide in a volcanic environment or methane in a more common non-volcanic environment due to the at-depth presence of natural gas. The latter natural gas origin is the source of Colombia's approximately 100 regional mud volcanoes. While I have been unable to completely verify the age, depth, or what rock type the natural gas that triggered Wednesday's mud volcano eruption is from, limited literature appears to suggest a source in tertiary age shale. This gas likely remained more than 1,000 feet underground and remained there until a series of nearby fault lines formed. One of these faults, known as the San Juan Fault, cut right through the natural gas deposit. This created gaps in the overlying caprock, meaning the fault could now act as a path of least resistance which could carry methane to the surface. At depth, this natural gas was trapped within sedimentary rock before some of it was captured by groundwater as the water eroded surrounding natural gas-bearing rock units. But as the groundwater eventually rose, the gas would come out of solution, propelling it upwards. Sometimes a very large batch of gas would rise all at once, sometimes due to fault movements or other reasons, resulting in large mud volcano eruptions on the surface. This is what caused such a large eruption to occur on February 25th of 2026, with a similar event occurring at another one of Colombia's mud volcanoes on November 11th of 2024. Since the main rising gas was methane, and methane is lighter than air, it quickly rose. All that was needed for the methane to ignite, since it is highly flammable, was for an electric shock to be generated, equivalent or larger to one that would occur after rubbing your feet over carpet and then touching a doorknob in winter. In this case, the static electricity was generated by either the motion of millions of tiny particles of mud beating against each other, or due to larger rocks beating against each other and the upward mud plume that generated a spark. This ignition is why such a large fireball occurred. As a final note, I would like to thank this channel's patrons on Patreon and channel members on YouTube for supporting my work.